Hi, everyone. Um, it's no secret I love RuPaul's Drag Race. And one of my favorite parts of it, there's many, but it's when RuPaul starts to talk about the inner saboteur in everyone. And a big part of the process is to challenge people to take a look at theirs and overcome it. So, this is helpful in order to explore self sabotage. We all have habits that are very personal to us in how we get in our own way. And so, self sabotage is when we engage in certain behaviors or thought patterns that interfere with long term goals, our levels of happiness, and our overall well being. So self sabotage oftentimes stems from really deep seated fears. It can come from unresolved trauma, certain methods in which we were brought up in our life, um, low self worth, and it can also be from very subconscious beliefs that we don't deserve things like happiness or success, or sometimes not even feeling as though you deserve healing. So, some examples with self sabotage that come up a lot can be very specific to mental health, addiction. So, I want to speak to both and then offer some strategies to help you to start to look at self sabotaging thoughts or behaviors. So, in mental health, what we look for is folks that are maybe procrastinating on going to therapy or starting the healing work. That can be a form of self sabotage. When people avoid therapy sessions, cancel last minute, or don't follow through on assigned exercises. So it's like folks that know journaling or meditation can be helpful for them, but they keep avoiding it. There's something really juicy that's going on if someone can actually push through and start to look at that through their writing or getting really quiet with themselves. So that would be a way to overcome the self sabotage emotionally. People that engage in a lot of negative self talk and self doubt, like if you're a person that convinces yourself you're not worthy of healing or happiness, that's your inner saboteur coming up and getting in the way. Um, Overcommitting to things, feeling burnout and not addressing it. So, this is self sabotage because it's taking on too much, more than your system can handle. And why people oftentimes do that is to avoid dealing with emotions, and which leads to exhaustion. So, when people start to push people away or withdraw from their support system, or their friends or their partners out of fear of rejection, they'll reject somebody first. So it's those can be self-sabotaging behaviors that show up when we are struggling or carrying some mental health challenges. Now, addiction and self-sabotage can be very behavioral. So, this is when somebody will relapse when things are going well because they can feel uncomfortable with stability or joy. So, this leads to self destruction. That is certainly something important to work on in therapy. Um, Justifying unhealthy coping mechanisms. So, because we got in an argument or because I'm just so stressed at work right now, this is justifying why engaging in something outside of sobriety might be helpful or a reward to them right now. Hanging around triggers is definitely a big one. So I know that people can't always change their environments, but when you continue to navigate in an environment that's unhealthy, where you haven't tried to insert boundaries, that can certainly look like self-sabotage, or hanging out with people that encourage destructive habits. Avoiding the emotional work is certainly self-sabotage, and I think that this largely stems from people's programming. I support a lot of men that are conditioned to avoid their emotional work. So it takes a lot of courage and bravery to deprogram from that and start to acknowledge needing help or inviting somebody on your journey to shine a light on certain areas that are difficult for you to do. So when people avoid the emotional work, they numb their emotions largely with substances or gambling or porn instead of facing them. So let's talk about strategies. Strategies used to combat self-sabotage. Identify the underlying fear. Ask yourself what you're really afraid of. Is it failure, success, rejection, discomfort? Recognize your self-sabotaging patterns. This is why I love writing, to keep a journal, track some of the experiences, the conflict that you are experiencing. Start to reframe your negative self-talk. That is the life stuff of the therapy work in which we all do. And create a self-compassion plan. Instead of harshly judging yourself, criticizing yourself, it's about our ability to respond with kindness when we are in suffering. Engage with your inner parts. So IFS, that's a whole other video, but it's the idea to recognize that we all have these protective parts that oftentimes come forward, not recognizing the harm in which they can create. Whole other video, like I said. It's about setting small and achievable goals, nothing too unrealistic, building a support system and using your support system in times of doubt or stress, and practicing distress tolerance. So we have to be able to tolerate the emotions, the unresolved trauma, the things that come up in order to protect ourselves from shutting it down. That's what the self-sabotage does. It shuts it down, it changes the volume, it distracts you. And of course, get some therapy. Bring yourself to a group, a therapist, a counselor, an online forum, a supportive space where you can start to unpack and take a look at these things. So my final thoughts are, self-sabotage is not a sign of failure. It's an avenue for growth. It's a sign of unhealed wounds and very protective mechanisms trying, but sometimes failing to keep you safe. So by recognizing and understanding the behaviors and the thoughts, if you can do that, that's already a step towards healing. That's all for now.